traces, I am going back to the same place where I was being called from. How come this concept is happening, or how come this functionality is happening? How come the controller could able to automatically go back to the same place where it is called from? The reason is, in every function, at the very end, there is a statement, something called as return statement. Return is one of the predefined keyword in your JavaScript. Okay, there is a statement called as return. As we have this return statement, that is the reason by default it will go back to the same place where I was being called from. If you ask me a question, we are not adding this return. You add it or you don't add it, by default the controller will be jumping to the same place where it is being called from. Okay, whenever you say return statement, automatically I will go back where I was being called from. I was called here, I will go back to the same place. Okay, you add the return statement or you don't add the statement, that is going to happen. But by using this return statement, we can return a single value from the called function to the calling function here. Okay, using the return statement, we are capable, or we could able to pass a single value from the called function to the calling function. So how I'm saying here, I can simply say, if I say return, only the controller will go back to the same place. But if I say return result, okay, if I say return result, assume the result value, assume that it is going to be, say, something called as 210 is the value what I got. So indirectly, these guy will be return 210. This is what going to happen indirectly. Are we clear? Okay, if at all I got the variable result value as 210, I mean, you are saying some this is 100 and 110 values you are passing. I'm finding the sum, I got the value as 210. Now whenever you say something called as return result, I'm not going to pass the variable, I'm not going to pass the variable result, I'm going to pass the value what you have inside this variable. Indirectly, this will be return 210. Are we clear? Okay, now when you're returning this 210, now when I'm throwing someone to some other guy, there should be someone who need to catch it. Okay, before this, if I simply say return, now if you come back and reload this guy, it is asking the first value, second value. Again, it says that boss result variable is not not defined here. Then how I have to make use? Boss, when this guy is throwing something, you need to catch that guy over here. Okay, when someone is throwing the data, you need to catch the value here. How I am going to catch that guy? I can simply say where some temp is equal to so and so. So what do you mean by this guy? Whatever the value you are returning, that value 210 will be automatically assigned to the variable called as temp over here. Okay, whatever the value you are returning here, that value 210 will be returned 210, will be automatically assigned to the variable which is calling this guy. Earlier, we were simply doing this, just calling the function. But now when I say something called as so and so, whatever this function will return, I will automatically catch that guy. Now, instead of showing this result variable, if I show this temporary variable, do you see any difference? Instead of showing the variable result, if I show this temp variable, do you see any difference? Obviously, no. When I save this guy, when I come back, when I reload this guy, I say first value, I say second value, I could able to find the sum of these two values. So this is a way you can access the called function data into the calling function. From here to here, we are passing the parameters. From here to here, we are returning the values. Where the difference is, in case of your passing parameters, you can pass any number of parameters like function a comma b comma c comma d. You can pass any number of values. Whereas when I'm returning the data, you can return only one variable. But if you ask me a question, boss, there is a case, I have to return multiple values. Assume that a comma b is there. I want to return these two values to there. So what is the option we have? There is an option like indirectly, you can use the arrays or JSON objects to return multiple values. But actually, you can only pass single value. Okay, even in case of arrays also, I'll be returning a single array. Under array, you'll be having multiple values. I will return a single JSON. Under JSON, you'll be having multiple values. Anyway, that we will discuss. But first thing what you need to understand is, anytime you're returning any values, you can return only one value. You cannot return multiple values. I cannot say return 10, 20, 30, not possible. But when I'm passing parameters, any number of parameters, you can pass it. Are we clear? Any questions? Is this must to declare temp when we use return statement? Okay, you tell me, Raju, is it is mandatory that temp is a predefined keyword or a user defined variable? You can put anything, right? I say something called as some Prasad. Okay, when I'm going to put this result, this will be Prasad. It's up to you. Okay, or else you say that I will use a variable called as some result here. You can use it, boss. It's up to you. Okay, this is a user defined variable. You can give whatever you want. Next. Please explain line number 19. What is this line number 19? So, Pranay, as I said you, right? Whenever you are saying something called as result here, okay, what is our first intention, guys? What is our first intention? Our intention is I have to take one data which is a local data of this function. I should be able to use it inside this function. Are you clear with the requirement? Everyone? Okay. Now I say that instead of, I cannot directly make use of this variable because this is a private data. Now what I am saying, whenever you use the return statement, we know that it will automatically go back to the same place where I was being called from. Are you clear with this? Yes. Now what I am saying, along with the return statement, if I simply say return, only controller will go. But if I say return some value, the value also will go to the place where I was being called from. Now, when I say return, assume like the result you got it as 210. Now, when I get this return, when I say return 210, that value 210 will be assigned into this result variable. Because you are calling this function, whatever this guy will return, that value will be kept into this guy. Now, indirectly, am I not getting the private data of this function into another function? Yes, it is. Are you clear, guys? Or any more questions? Guys, instead of just saying repeat, please let me know the line number and the question. Come on. Is everyone clear? Can I go forward? Okay, so this is example. What I mentioned is if you get the result as 210, when I am saying return, the 210 will be returned. It is not the variable result. It is the value what will be returned, and that will be assigned to any of the variable, whatever you say. But if you say that I'm simply saying get addition, I'm not putting any variable, that indicates that the value, whatever you're getting, that is gone. You're not catching it, it is gone. Okay. Sir, now I join. Please repeat short. Biswajit, short means we are using the private data of the call function into calling function. That is the short note. Okay, so we are simply, when you're passing the parameters, it is from called function to the calling function. Sorry, from the calling function to the called function, we are accessing the data. Now we are using the in a reverse way. That's it. Any more questions? Are we good? Okay, now what I'm saying is, if it is the private data of this function, we could able to pass it as parameter. If it is private data of this function, we are returning as a data. Now what I want to do is, I don't want to keep any type of global data here. Okay, I don't want to go with any of the global data here. How I'm going to solve this? So let us say, I'll go with copy control V. I will say functions with okay. Now what I'm saying is, there is no global data here, and I want to make use of this result also over here. Then what I have to say, obviously A1 and A2, you're passing parameters and you're achieving this. Now, can I do something like this where result is equal to so and so? Now I say console dot log, the sum is plus result. Now I'll say something called return result. Any questions, guys? Now, this is a simple example where you have both passing parameters and returning values also. So no global data here, but this private data can be used into the another function. In the same way, the private data of this function can be used into the calling function also. So this is an example for both returning passing parameters and returning values. Are we clear? So any questions up to this? Okay, can we return value from first function to the third function? First function to the third function. Where is the third function here, Tushar? We don't have the third function, right? If we have that function, you can define it. Not a problem. You can do that. Archita, line number 12. Archita, are you talking about this file or other file? This is the one you're talking about, line number 12? Try to respond fast after you put the questions. Last program. Okay, can you understand this guy now? Because the same thing I have implemented here. If you have any questions on this, let me know. Okay, any more questions, guys? So this is the simple example. I mean, as we said, right, whenever we are using the function, the problem whenever we give the private data, the thing is, when I'm calling from one function to another function, I cannot make use of the data. When I'm returning this data to there again, I cannot make use of it. That is where you have two solutions here. One is passing parameters and one is returning values. If you remember, those are the two things what we discussed. Whenever we have to use the private data of one function, either we have to pass the parameter or we have to return the value. The third way, what you have is both returning values and passing parameters. Okay. Okay, Venkatesh, once you can return at this time, only get addition data calling to user data function. If you, what is this? If you and return statement, you didn't give value at line number 19. Once you add return at this time only, get addition data call to read user data function. What does that mean? I mean, when you add return statement, okay, do you mean to say only once I add the return statement, then only it is going to call the function? No, right? We are using the return statement to return a value. In your question, you say that it is a function. It is not a function, right? It is returning a value to this guy. Okay, Archita, you say that what is this arrow symbol? Please revisit the previous videos, Archita. We already discussed about this, the three different ways of defining the function. Okay, just go through with that. We already covered this. Any more questions? Are we good? Okay, now what we can do is, can I go with the example of your student details? If you remember, we have created the student details with functions. When was that? Student details with functions. Now I copy this guy. Okay, if you see here, I have this, we have written this piece of code. We have implemented modularization for the student details. We have written a method in order to read the student data. We have written a method to implement the total and average. We have implemented display student details. In the same way, get student grade like this. From outside, we are calling display student data. Now you go inside. You see, he is going to call this read student data here. Like this, it is happening. So any questions in this previous example? Modularity, we have completely implemented. Now from outside, let me remove this display student details. Now, the first problem what you see over here is you are declaring the global data. Isn't it? At line number 12, you are declaring it as global data. Do you really recommend to go with the global data here? No. What is recommended? Make it as private data, boss. It is never recommended to make it as global data. We already know the disadvantages or limitations what you have. Now what I do is I take this data and I keep it inside this function. Okay, I'm making it as a local data, no private data here. Super fine. Then this problem start coming over here. I say read student data here. I'm going to remove this. Now I say read the data from the user. This is the piece of method what I'm invoking. Okay. Now the next thing is whenever you say read the data from the user, obviously it is going to call this guy. Now it is going to perform all this guy. Now you're going to call the get student and average. I mean, get total and average. When I go to this get total and average, obviously I don't know what is M1, I don't know what is M2, and I don't know what is M3. Agree or not? Because those are local variables. See, for example, if I save this guy and if I execute this guy, it's asking for the student name, Mr. Raj, age, some 20, gender, male, subject, so-and-so, marks, so-and-so, so-and-so. Now, when I inspect this guy, go to console, you see that M1 is not defined at line number 30. Come over here at line number 30, it is saying that M1 is not accessible, boss. Obviously, M1 is a private data of this, boss. Now, could I able to share this M1, M2, M3 to this total and average? Yes, what I can say? Can I pass parameters here? I say M1, comma, M2, comma, M3. Now when I'm passing these guy need to catch that guy, M1, M2, and M3. Is it is mandatory that it has to be only M1, M2, M3? No, it could be anything. You say ABC also, it works over here. Fine. Now these are individual variables, var total and var average here. Now, when I'm calculating this total and average, those data is my local data. Do I need to return that guy to this guy? Yes. Now, what these guy will say? Can I say var avg or avg is equal to get total and average? Now, can I say return avg comma total? Can I do this? Can I do this? Obviously, no. Why so? You cannot return multiple values from a function. You can return only single value. Okay. Now that single value is, I say return AVG. Now, right now, I'm skipping the total because right now I don't have an option to return multiple values. But if you ask me a question, boss, that is my requirement, boss. I want this total and average. Then in that case, I have to get back to this guy when I finish the arrays. Right now, we haven't done with the arrays. That is the reason I'm skipping this part. I am only returning the average value to this guy. Now I got this average. Now, after I got this average, can I call this display student details? And for this display student, I need to pass the name. I need to say S name, comma, S age, comma, S gender, comma, AVG. Okay. And once I get this guy, now obviously you will get the S name, comma, S age, comma, gender. He's not taking it. So I'm not using it. I'm not passing that guy. I'm passing the name, age, and average. Now, name, age, and average. Now I got this name, age. I'm not going with this total right now. That's it. Now, in order to get the grade, I need to pass the average to this guy. So he will be getting the average. Now you could able to calculate this. Now let us save this, come back and reload this guy. Student name, say some Krish, age some 10, gender some male, subject one, so and so, so and so, and so and so. Now you could able to get all the data. age is so and so, average is so and so, student got passed and the student got first class. Super fine. But the advantage what you see over here is no global data from any of the function here. Throughout the code, I don't have any global data, but still I could able to share the data between them. See, from outside, I'm calling read student from you, read data from user. Now, if I go here, what this read guy is doing, he is reading all this data. Now he is calling that get total guy. I am passing 3 values. He is returning me the average to me. And I'm passing all the data to this guy, display student details. Now that guy is showing all the data, but he don't know how to calculate the grade. He is passing the average to the get to grade guy. Now he is returning all. So this is how when you are using n number of functions, you will get a scenario where you need to share the data from the calling function to the called function or called function to the calling function. This is how you're going to make use of the return and passing parameters. Clear everyone? Understood everyone? Online students. Tell me once again variable, private variable using. I mean, what do you mean by this, Venkatesh? You mean to say what is private data? Is that what your question? Come on, Venkatesh. These many number of times we discussed. We are already into the functions, and again you are into the back question. Private data is okay. I say where a is equal to 10. Anyone else having question with this private data and global data, boss? So guys, I hope I'm even giving the examples, or I'm giving the videos also, right? Try to revisit that. Okay, fine. Now when I say a equal to 90 and I say something called as function, say something called as sample, you tell me, I say where b is equal to say some 100. You tell me what is this variable a, global or local? It is global. Any data what you declare outside is going to be global data. When I say b is equal to 100, local data. Any variable what you declare within this function, we call it as local or private data. Hope I'm clear, Venkatesh, now. Okay, any more questions, guys? Okay, now can you work with your employee details? If you see, when we have already solved we have worked with our employee details. Employee details with condition, employee details with function, I haven't shown you. I think I asked you guys to work with that, take an assignment, right? So now in your employee details, you would have implemented n number of functions. There you have implemented the global variables, isn't it? Now what you need to do is you need to work with the same employee details where it is having multiple functions, and those functions has to share the data between them by passing parameters and returning the values. Can you guys do this? Okay, take that as an assignment. Now, if you remember, this is what we have, guys. Assume I say where a is equal to say some 20. What is the data type of a? It is string. How do I convert this guy into number? %. I say where a or where say some res is equal to parse int of a. Can you tell me what is a here? Can I say that % is a function? % is a function? Obviously, boss. Is it a predefined function or user-defined function? We are not defining it. It is a predefined. So can you imagine how the % would have been defined? Assume it would have been defined something like this. % is equal to something. Okay, some p here, and it is going to have the logic of converting to number, and it will return the value. This would have been the definition of your %. If you see here, the % guy is taking one of the parameter, he is doing some logic, and he is returning the value. So that is the reason we are assigning a variable to this %. We are passing some parameter. We pass some data, it will process it, it will return the value to this guy. This is how it would have been written, the piece of code internally within the %. We are not writing it, but this is how it would have been. He might be using some return statement also. Are we clear? Okay. And one more thing, guys. For example, let me talk something about the return statement. I say, for example, where display info is a method console.log one a very simple piece of code. Okay, this is how it says 1, 2, and 3. Say for example, I'm saying some return. Does it make any difference? No, by default anyway, every function at the end, it is going to have the return statement here. Now, when I save it, come back and reload, it is not going to throw any difference. Now, what if I keep this return statement? In general, where the return statement has to be? Just before closing of the function. What if I keep this guy over here? It is possible. Only one it will get executed. Okay, now when I see this and reload the page, see, only one will be executed. So what happens internally is, whenever the controller comes to the location called as a return statement, it will automatically jump from the same place where it is been called from automatically. Return statement indicates that get out of the get to the same place where you have come from. If you pass any value, I say return something called as 10. I will carry a value while I'm going. If you're not passing any value, the controller will be automatically moved out. Okay, return statement can be added in between also. In most of the cases, what it will say is, for example, there are classes are happening. I say class 1 is happening. I say class 2 is happening. I say class 3 is happening. Assume I'm going to put a condition. If at all user paid fee. Okay, if the user has paid the fee, or else if the user not paid this fee. If the user not paid this fee, this is what I can do here. Now, a user has to attend the class 1, class 2, and class 3. But when he's entering here, I'm checking that. If it is not of user paid the fee, if the user haven't paid the fee, I'm saying that return. You need to go back to the same place where you have come from. I mean, there are some cases what you will be doing here. For example, when there is a response from the server, you need to read it and you need to show the data to the user. What if like there is no data? Return, get back to the same place where you have come from. Are we clear? Understood everyone with the return statement? So return can be an empty return, or you can even return a value. If you return a value, you need to catch that value. You need to say var a equal to something like this. Any more questions? Yes, please. Student details. That is what I said, right? Right now, it is not possible. Then in that case, what I have to do? You know what I have to say? I have to say something like this: average, total, comma, average. In that case, you need to say var data equal to so and so. I say total equal to data of 0. You need to say data of 1. AVG. Now these guy will be AVG and total. Now I can say comma total. Now I can say this. Save this guy. Open this guy. Oh man. Okay, I say Mr. Raj, student age some 20, gender says some male, subject 1 marks 22, so and so, so and so. Now, if I inspect this guy, go to the console, am I getting the average along with total also? Yes, it is. But if you ask me how you have done, I need to, if I say I have written this array here, but arrays we haven't discussed, index we haven't discussed. There is a possibility, but as we haven't finished the topic, I can't show it right now. Okay, I just added it, but you can skip that guy. Any more questions? Sir, by mistake. Okay. Any more questions, guys? Are we good up with passing parameters and returning values? Everyone. Okay. So what is our next? Okay. And make sure everybody does this employee details, guys. As I said, you every day we will be keep on using this function. Okay. Now, when I say method called as alert, some hello, it is a predefined method called as alert. Okay. It is both returning values and parameters, or it is only returning taking parameters? Alert method is both returning values, or else, let me say, I say first type 1 passing params, type 2 returning values, I say type 3 values. You tell me alert is what type? Type 3, type 2. Come on, guys. It is returning any value? What is returning value? What is that? Are we passing parameters or returning values, boss? Just passing parameters. So was type 1 or type 2 or type 3? Type 1, boss. We are just only passing parameters. Okay. I say prompt. Hello. Type 1, type 2, type 3. Everyone. It is type 3. We are taking parameters and we are even returning a value. Anytime we are assigning any variable to any of the function, returning a value. Anything what you see between open and closed braces, passing parameters. Okay, I say type of something called as A. Type of A. Type 1, type 2, type 3. Are we assigning any variable? Come on, guys. It is so clearly mentioned there. Type 1. Are we passing parameter for this type of method? Yes. Are we returning any value? We are actually. If we say where something, actually, we are not catching it. But when I say where some A is equal to type of A, it will return the type of so and so for this. It is actually both returning value and parameter. Okay. So this is how you need to justify, guys, what is passing parameters and what is returning value. So you need to make sure everybody understand this. Next one. What is our next topic? Arguments keyword, I will park it out because in order to understand arguments, you need to understand arrays. Jason. No. Before that, we have skipped the arrays concept, right? So we need to go to the arrays topic. So guys, again, I'm repeating, make sure everybody is so strong on this function passing parameters and returning values. Try to solve the assignment of the employee details by own. Even student details also, I recommend everyone, you delete, don't just copy what we have done in the class, or else you can take a reference, you remove it, you try to put your own. You need to be strong on returning values and parameters. Wherever you have question, do let me know. Instead of just saying repeat, you can tell me that, okay, this is what I don't understand. I will explain it 100 number of times. But make sure everybody understand. If you say that I am not understanding passing parameters and returning value, indicating that it will be a very big gap until you reach your JavaScript. Okay, this will be a very big gap for you. Like every day you'll be feeling like the gaps and all. So try to be so strong on this. Who all says that I'm strong in both passing parameters and returning values? 1, 2, 3. Very nice. Good. At least few are there. Putting interest in the class. Okay. So the next concept what we have is arrays. Okay. So again, guys, arrays is one of the very important data structure. So in order to understand the arrays, first of all, you need to know what do you mean by data structure, etc. and all. And arrays is one of the very important data structure every programming language is going to support, not just only your JavaScript. You go to any of the programming language like your C, the C++, the Java, any programming language you go, everywhere you're going to have a support of your arrays. Okay. So what do you mean by arrays? Why the reason we need to go with this arrays? As I said you, first of all, you need to understand what do you mean by data structures. Today, these many examples. Okay. So we need to understand what do you mean by array. Why the reason we are going for this? Before going with this array, first of all, you need to understand data structures. Who all have an idea of data structures before? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Fine. Now, who all feel like data structures is the most complex topic or the subject what we have seen in our academics? 1. You feel like it is complex, right? Why the reason, guys? The reason is you would have said like, you would have seen, you might be seeing the data structure programming, which are like too much of lengthy programming and all. So if you really understand, obviously, when I was in my academics, I felt the same. But the time when I really understand why the data structures are implemented, instead of just seeing the data structures, a very lengthy program, why the reason we go with the data structures? If you understand that, then it is so simple, guys. Okay. Now, if I ask you a question, people whoever have said that, boss, I know data structures. Why the reason we go with data structures? I'm not asking for examples of data structures. I'm asking that why the reason we go with the data structures. Arrange our code properly according or in the ECMA 6 way. But ECMA 6 is only JavaScript, right? Data structure is not dedicated to the JavaScript. Any programming language you can go. Okay, next. Sorry. Less memory. But if you're going with this memory, first of all, you need to talk about the storage, right? Next. Anyone, what is the main use of data structure? Arrange data in a specific structure. That is what the data structure, right? Organizing the data, okay, for convenience to manage huge data, better understanding, okay. Next. That is what I'm asking. What is the reason on why we go with the data structures, or what is data structure? Okay, very simple thing, guys. Playing with the data. Wow. Data structures are allow storing the information on hard disk. Now I'm saying variable a equal to 10. Is it not allowing me to store the data? It is, right? Collection of items, we can access data easily. Time complexity, that is fine. But I'm not getting the exact answer. You know, the very simple answer, guys. Why the reason we go with the data structures? Data structures are containers capable of holding more than one data, as simple as it is. Okay, whenever I say where a is equal to say some 90, how many is a is a variable? Is a is storing some data? How many values at a time I can store? One value. Is it is possible to store another value? No, when I say something called as a equal to something called as 100, how many values have been stored under a now? One value, boss. A 90 has been replaced with 100 now. This is the problem what you have with your normal variables. Whenever you declare any of the normal variables, variables are only taking one single value. Instead of taking one single value, I would like to store more than one value. That is why we go with the data structures as simple as it is. Am I clear? Okay. Now, when I say data structures, now I want to say, I want to store 90, I want to say 34, I want to say 44, 56. I would like to say some a equal to so and so. Is it possible to store all these values inside a single variable? No. If at all, these all values has to be stored inside this, then A has to become a data structure. Okay. Data structures are containers, guys. Okay. Let me take a practical example. For example, I say, in your universe, there are lots of containers. Now, when I'm putting my hand something like this, is it not a container? Can I hold something here? Yes, it is. I take a polythene bag. Is it not a container? I take a plastic water bottle. Is it a container? I take a steel container. Container it is. I take my laptop bag. Is it a container? Yes. Why the reason we go with this container? To store some data or hold some data. I'm holding some data inside this. Now, why do we have these many containers? Why can't I have only one single container in the universe? Why do we have polythene bags, paper bags, laptop bags, water bottles, and steel vessels? Lot of containers are there. Why do we have these many containers, boss? Depends upon the content what you are storing. You have different types of content. That is the reason you have different containers. Now I give you 1 bag of sugar or 1 kg of sugar I am giving. Do you think you will put into your water bottle? Is it possible to put into your water bottle? Possible. It is possible. I can put the sugar of 1 kg into my water bottle also. Why the reason I'm not choosing water bottle? Because the reason is that the way I put into that and the way I'm going to retrieve it, not so simple for me. It is a container capable of holding. In the same way, can I take some 1 kg of rice? Can I directly pour into my laptop bag? My laptop bag directly contain this? It is possible. But the way you put into that, the way you retrieve it, not so easy, boss. I'm giving 1 kg of oil. Is it possible to put into some laptop bag? Assume like it is waterproof. Is it possible to hold it? Don't try at your homes. Assume like if it is capable of holding. But why the reason we are not using it? Because not so easy for me to retrieve and easy to put it. So we will be choosing the corresponding container based on the type of data what you're going to store. In the same way, as we have different contents and the containers in the universe, you are choosing. I'm giving a rice content. I'll take a plastic bag or a paper bag there. I'm giving some oil. I'll take a polythene container or a steel container or the like water bottle type of stuff. I'm giving some water. You'll take some glass or you'll take some container. So based on the content what you have, you are choosing the particular container. In the same way, when you go to your coding, you might be having some different type of data. There is some similar type of data. Marks of 10 students. I have some 10, 20, 30, 40 and all. I want to store the data. You have a different data structure. Data structure is a container capable of holding some data. You have lots of containers, like array is one container, JSON is one container, stack is one container, queue is one container, tree is one container, map is one container, graph is one container, dictionary, map, sets, hell lot of containers are available within your programming language. Now, how I will be choosing one of the particular container? Based on the data what I'm storing inside it. Now I say that I'm going to store my my family tree. I want to say that, okay, my grandfather, who all are the sons he is having, and based on that son, who all are the children he is having, and for the children who all have the siblings, etc. and all. So if at all I have to store all this data, arrays are not suitable, linked list is not suitable, double linked list is not suitable. We will be going with the tree type of structure. Tree indicates a parent, who all are the siblings, for that what are the children, for that what all it is there. So now if I take the like this relationship data into the, into the stack or into the queue, it is not possible. So you have to choose the corresponding data structure. When you go to the programming language, hell lot of data structures are being supported. You will be choosing the particular data structure based on type of data what you are inserting. Now, when you go to the other programming language like your C or some other C++, etc., hell lot of data structures are there. But the advantage what you have with your JavaScript is, in your JavaScript, you have limited data structures. As it is not supporting the concept of pointers and addresses, So obviously linked list, double linked list, trees, graphs, those all works with the pointers. That is the reason those are completely ignored. We will be only working with array data structure. We will be only working with JSON data structure. We say, what do you mean by set? We say, what do you mean by map? Okay, so only these are the data structures which are being supported in your JavaScript. No other data structure is supported. So you are completely free now. You don't need to write this lengthy programming of the data. What do you say? Lengthy data structures programming and all. You have a very simple data structures: arrays, JSON, sets, and maps. Are we clear? So why we go for these data structures? The reason is when I say variable A, I am capable of storing only one data. Instead of this, I would like to store multiple data here. That is a simple, straightforward answer. Why the reason you're going with the data structures. Are we good up to this? Okay. Now, how you're going to define an array? I say something called var A is equal to something called as 90. Okay. Is it is possible to say a 90 comma 20? Obviously, it is an error. One single variable at a time holding the one single value. If I say a 90, later I say a is equal to something called as 100. Now, if I console the value of line number a value at line number 17, what will be the value here? Now I say console.log a value. The 90 value is gone. The 90 value will be gone and it will be showing only the 100 value here, because at a time one single variable is going to have one single value. But my requirement is I want this variable A to hold 90 at the same time 100 also. I want to store these two values inside one single variable. How I am going to do that? That is where we are going to have something called as arrays. Now, how you're going to represent? I say to open, close, and braces. What do you say? It is a function. Anywhere you see this open and close the braces, it is a function, right? Okay. In the same way, if I say open and close square braces, close your eyes, doesn't matter any language you go. Wherever you see the square braces, you can simply say that it is arrays. Sorry? Still in Python also we specify that square braces only. Yeah. Okay. So this is how you're going to represent. Now, my requirement is I want to store multiple values inside this variable A. Now, if at all I want to store multiple values, then A should not be a normal variable. It should be array data structure. You know how I'll say? I will say var A is equal to square brace. Automatically, it becomes an array. Or the other way what we have is, we can say var A is equal to new array of. It is not recommended, but this is a other way of defining an array. Okay, when this is so simple and if it is doing the same thing what the dynamic thing is doing, why do I go for this? I always go for this. Now, whenever I say A is equal to square brace, you know what I can do? I can say 34, 55, 67, 89, any number of values can be stored inside the single variable A. If it is a normal data, I am capable of storing only single data. But now if it is an array, I am capable of holding multiple values inside this. There is no limitation. You can store 1, 2, 3, 4 million, any number of data, you can simply store it. In case of your other technologies like your C language or your C++, when you are declaring an array, you need to mention the size. You need to say that array of 5, you can store only 5 values. Array of 10, you can store only 10. The problem what I have is, if I have to make it to 12, not possible. It will say that, boss, you declared the data memory for only 5 can be stored. And if I declare the memory for 10 and I'm using only 2 data, implies I'm going to lose the space of this remaining 8. But what JavaScript is saying is, you don't need to tell me the size of the array. You simply store the value. You give me 100 values, I will allocate the memory for 100. You allocate the memory for 5 values, I'm going to allocate the memory for 5 values only. Okay. So depending on the data what you give, it is going to allocate the memory. So whenever you want to create array, either it should be in the form of just simply open and close the braces, or you can simply say new array of. Are we clear? Yes. Now, when I say earlier, for example, if I'm saving this guy, I'm reloading this. You see how many values I'm having inside this? One single value inside the array. But now when I say something called array, is it is capable of storing multiple values? Now let us see this guy. Now when I say array A, okay, save this guy, come back over here and reload the page. See, earlier it was single value. Now this array guy is going to store some 5 values over here, boss. Yes, it is. So this is the main advantage what we are getting with the array. Now you need to ask me a question. 34, 55, 67, 89, 90 are the values what I have given. What is this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4? I haven't given this, boss. So to understand this, you need to understand what is the memory allocation of the array and index values. Okay, so we need to understand these two. But I'm going to park this guy for tomorrow, guys. So one thing is, I mean, there is an issue. I mean, last 2 classes we didn't had, right? Because of the class not availability. So what they have done is the other batch, the other class, what you need to happen over here, they are actually waiting, which need to happen at 9:30. So just for a couple of days, guys, couple of days, we will be having only class till 9:30. By when they arrange the, again, another class for us, I didn't set to close. Okay, so just for a couple of days, they requested us that you need to close by 9:30. So just for 2 days, and mostly once they get solved it, we'll be going into the new class and we'll be going till 10 o'clock. Okay, so let's pause it for today. We'll meet again back on tomorrow. So tomorrow I will give the complete picture of arrays, guys. How do you work with arrays? How do you declare arrays? How do you work everything? So make sure everybody is there. Have a good day. Bye for today.